and medium enterprises. And that's how, as far as we are concerned, the BSE is concerned, it has also, in last 145, 146 years, have ensured that the small enterprises should become large and large corporate become blue chip companies. And
Exactly.
over the years, if you see that, we have got almost 5,000 companies listed onto the stock exchange. The market capitalization is above $3 trillion, and BSE index is at all-time high of almost 53,000.
Hmm.
So these things have happened in the capital market. Wealth creation has happened, and these companies have been kept on transforming itself into large corporates and big corporates. In 2010, there was a lot of deliberation because the compliance mechanism, the time taking, and the listing process became complex, and it was also a costly process. And therefore, it was very difficult for small and medium enterprises to comply with all the compliance requirement and invest a large amount of funds for their IPO and get involved in a complex process because they don't have the bandwidth. So this matter has been taken up by all the stakeholders, especially the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, and they approached to Prime Minister. Prime Minister has created a task force under the Principal Secretary, Mr. T.K. Nair, and that committee has given the recommendation, besides many other recommendations for the development of small and medium enterprises, to create a stock exchange, especially for the small and medium enterprises, so that they can raise equity funds from the capital market. At the end of the day, it is the finance that is very much important to run the business. And though the small and medium enterprises try to get loans from the banks and BFCs and from the fintech platform, but it's also required that they should get equity funding because equity funding have got their own advantages for the growth-oriented companies.
Exactly.
So in 2010, SEBI has come out with guidelines for getting the companies listed onto the SME platform. They have also come out with the eligibility criteria for the stock exchanges that they have to meet some of these criteria to run the SME platform. And they have also invited fresh application from the other people who want to launch this stock exchange. So finally, BSE, because it has created the equity culture in the country, have thought to launch this SME exchange and applied to Security Exchange Board of India for giving the approval for launching this SME platform. I'm glad to say that we became the first stock exchange to get the approval from SEBI on 27th September 2011. And we also became the first stock exchange to launch the SME platform on 13th March 2012. So from there, the beginning has started, though initially there were a lot of hassles, a lot of pessimism were there. People were not knowing that even the intermediaries were not aware how to move on the SME platform because merchant bankers have been given a lot of responsibility, both for the primary market and the secondary market. And this responsibility was for a period of 3 years. So most of the merchant bankers were not on each to work on the SME platform because they were not aware about the secondary market or to take the responsibility for 3 years for the company. Besides that, we have got the precedence of OTCI, which was the first SME exchange launched in India. And over the years, it became very successful. It failed, and because of various reasons, and therefore, people were not sure that whether this SME platform will also take off. But we were confident, and we thought that for the growth of the nation, to create employment, we need to develop the SMEs of the country. We need to ensure that a small and medium enterprises should be on the growth trajectory. There should be equity funding, there should be hand-holding for these companies, and also they should get more and more exposure to various set of investors. We felt that SME platform must be launched, and therefore on 13th March 2012, we have launched this SME platform. Over the
Exactly.
years, it kept on transforming, and in 8 years, we have got almost 340 companies listed onto the stock exchange. They have reached almost 3,500 crores, and the market capitalization of these 340 companies is almost 28,000 crores. So, very exciting
Exactly.
journey, I can say, and
Hmm.
we at BSE are very happy that we are contributing to the growth of the nation.
Exactly, exactly. So these are yeah, exactly, so this is the driving force behind BSc SME, and obviously, SMEs are the real, engines for growth, and giving fuel to that engine is very important. So what is exactly the process involved into it? So how an MSME can probably avail to get listed in BSc SME platform? And that is the SME part. And then we'll also later come on how startups can get benefited from this. What is the process involved into it, and what are the eligibility criteria for the MSMEs as well as for the startups to get into the platform?
So first, I talk about the eligibility criteria and the compliance requirement that the SMEs have to do onto the SME platform. So what we have done, we have kept the eligibility criteria as simple as we can, because we want more and more SMEs to come into the formal sector get the sustainability fund. So our eligibility criteria are very, simple. Hello. So we have kept the
Yes.
eligibility criteria very simple. What we say that any company where the post-issue paid-up capital is below 25 crores, uh, they have got net tangible asset of 1.5 crores, and the company, if it is in existence for a period of 3 years and operating profit in any one of the 3 years, then the company is eligible to get listed on the SME platform. So for the audience, once more, let me elaborate on the eligibility criteria. So there are 4 eligibility criteria.
Hmm.
Number one, the company's post-issue face value capital should be below 25 crores. Number
Hmm.
two, the company should be in existence for a minimum period of 3 years.
Hmm.
Number three, the company should have operating profit in any one of the 3 years. And number four, the company's net tangible assets should be minimum 1.5 crores. So if any SME is meeting these eligibility criteria, they can get listed onto our SME platform.
Hmm.
Not only that, even the post-listing compliances we have kept minimal.
Hmm.
The company has to file, unaudited financial results and shareholding pattern on half-yearly basis, and
Hmm.
on yearly basis, they have to file the audited results. So we
Hmm.
have tried to keep the compliances as minimal as we can. Not only that, we have put lesser financial liability on these SME companies. What we have said that you don't have to even publish your results into the newspaper.
Hmm.
However, on the main board, the companies have to publish quarterly results, and that also on audited basis. And they have to come. They have to also publish it into two newspaper, one vernacular newspaper and another on the national newspaper. But onto the SME platform, we have done away with this compliance requirement. So as far as the compliances are concerned, we have kept it minimal because we know that in the initial days, the SMEs may not have the bandwidth to do those compliances. And there is
Hmm.
also the fear of compliances in the mind of the promoters of these small and medium enterprises. So it has been reduced from day one. And
Hmm.
not only that, we have tried to simplify the process. In fact, the prospectus that are being filed onto the stock exchange also don't go to SEBI for approval or their observation. It has
Hmm.
to be approved by the stock exchange itself. So when you are talking about the process and asking about the process, let me tell you what is the process involved.
Hmm.
These are the eligibility criteria that we have stipulated. Now,
Hmm.
any company which wants to get listed on our SME platform, they have to approach to a merchant banker
Hmm.
and get their mandate signed. They have to negotiate on the fee with the merchant banker. They have to understand the process with the merchant banker.
Hmm.
Once they approach to the merchant banker and everything is finalized,
Hmm.
Then they sign the mandate for bringing the public issue. So the
Hmm.
merchant banker does the due diligence of the company. They go through
Okay.
all the documents, audited
Hmm. Hmm.
documents, and
Hmm.
other regulated documents. Once they find everything, to the point and has been complied with, they create a prospectus. It is a 400-page prospectus is there that the
Hmm.
merchant banker prepares. And in that prospectus, everything, all the information of the company is being provided with, so that the investors should take, the decision whether to invest in these companies or not. So once this prospectus is being created, and there are a special set of documents which the merchant banker has to provide to the stock exchange as a supporting documents, and submitted with BSE. Now, during this pandemic, we have made everything online. So they have to just provide this prospectus and the supporting documents online on our system.
Hmm.
We go through these documents, we vet these documents, and if these documents we find proper, we call for an interview of the promoters and the merchant bankers to understand what business they are doing and how they want to progress in their companies, and what are the financials that they have provided. So after taking the interview of the promoters, if the committee of the stock exchange is convinced that everything is in proper shape, and all the regulatory compliances has been complied with, then that committee gives the approval to the company and the merchant banker to come out with the public issue. So
Hmm.
after our approval, the merchant banker, if there are some changes that have been suggested by us, they make those changes in the final prospectus. They file it with the registrar of company. They take their approval, and
Hmm.
after that they open the issue. So normally
Okay.
these issues are open for minimum period of 3 days and
Hmm.
maximum period of 10 days. So
Hmm.
merchant banker along with the issuer, that is the company, decides for how many days they have to keep the issue open. And in
Hmm.
those issues, in those days, the issue remains open and the investor have to subscribe the issue. Now, let
Okay.
me tell you, the merchant banker has to take the responsibility of 100% subscription. So he
Hmm.
ensures that the full money, whatever has been put in the prospectus, the issue size, that what I mean to say, that whatever the fund that the company wants to raise and which has been put into the
Hmm.
prospectus of the company,
Hmm.
the whole amount needs to come into the company. It means that the
Hmm.
investors have to subscribe the public issue. And if there
So,
is any
okay.
shortfall, then the
Hmm.
merchant banker has to ensure that that shortfall should be made good. So it's the
Hmm.
responsibility. It is called underwriting. So there
Hmm.
is a hard underwriting, or there is a 100% underwriting responsibility to the merchant banker for ensuring that the issue gets fully subscribed. So once the
Okay.
issue gets fully subscribed, there is 6 days process for doing other compliances with various authorities. And on the 6th day, the company gets listed onto the stock exchange and the shares are being traded here. So
Hmm.
this is the total, this is whole process that is being done by the merchant
Hmm.
banker to ensure that the company gets listed. Let me tell you, there is no hassle at all, because all the responsibility is taken by the merchant banker, and he ensures that there is a proper hand holding of the issuer, that is the promoter, and he should not face any issue or any problem at any point of time.
Hmm.
Normally, it takes 2.5 to 3 months for the
Three.
companies to get listed onto the stock exchange. So total
Okay.
3 months process, but
Hmm.
it depends upon the issuer that or the promoter to provide the documents to the merchant banker so that he can complete the process fast.
So,
So if these
so in
documents are provided,
hmm.
fast,
Hmm.
in some cases we have seen the companies getting listed even in 2 months.
Okay, okay. So it is, as far as I understood it, right? Most of the work, technical work, the technical documentation are being done through merchant banking, merchant bankers, and SMEs or MSMEs need not to, get worried about the documentation part. All they need to do is to work along with their merchant banker. very
They
closely.
have to,
And
yes. And they have to,
yeah.
even they should not get involved in day-to-day activities. They should
Hmm,
deploy a person who has got the access of all the regulatory documents and the finances
hmm,
of the company,
hmm.
which when asked by the merchant banker, he should be in a position to provide him.
Exactly, exactly. So, my question is like, for example, how many merchant bankers are actively working on this, especially with regards to the MSME onboarding activities concerned?
So as of now, there are 20 merchant bankers who are involved in this process. Some are very active, some are, lesser active. But as the situation arises, every merchant banker wants to work onto the SME platform.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
there is no dearth of merchant bankers. It's the
Hmm,
promoter who has to decide whether he wants to get listed or not. But if he
hmm.
wants to get listed, there are multiple merchant bankers who are ready to take the assignment and ensure that the company should get listed.
Exactly, exactly. So that's very important. And is there any other like due diligence or best practice which MSME owner has to comply or has to follow while starting or while doing the business before getting into the stock exchange? Is there any piece of recommendation you would like to make?
But see, my recommendation is to keep the regulatory documents in proper shape.
Hmm,
Do the complete the auditing of the financial results on time.
hmm,
File with the MCA, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, on
hmm,
time.
hmm,
So this documentation needs to be in shape, so
hmm,
that when the merchant banker comes and he asks for the documents, those documents should be ready and they should be in a position to provide it. So there are
hmm,
some, the corporates, the SMEs who are in the formal sector, they need to comply with some regulatory, norms which have been provided by the government of India and various
hmm,
other authorities.
hmm,
And they should keep on complying it on regular basis. If they are doing this, I don't see any problem, for these companies to get listed.
hmm, hmm,
But let me tell you, many of the times what happens that, in case of small and medium enterprises, they don't have that much of expertise, and some or other things at some or other point of time they get missed.
hmm,
So what happens? They don't have to, get fearful of that. What happens? The merchant bankers, while doing the due diligence, if finds some things, missing, or some, compliance not done, then
hmm.
they, get those compliances done with the, with the company secretary or the charter accountant of the company. So, they should not think that, if they have missed something or, missed some compliance or regulatory, guidelines to be fulfilled,
Hmm.
then the merchant banker will ensure while preparing the documents and papers that they should be complied with.
Exactly, exactly. So that is very important. And in fact, in addition to the recommendations, which definitely every MSME should follow, is there any like for example, the kind of training or education is required? Is there any basic level of financial training or financial know-how is needed for an entrepreneur to actually get into this particular phase of finance, or like it is not needed. They can, all they need to do is to go to a merchant banker and tell them that they are willing to get listed on BSE SME or any other stock exchange.
There are two parts in your question, whether financial literacy should be done or financial
Hmm.
know-how should be given. See, my view is this, that all the entrepreneurs must be financially literate. They
Hmm.
must understand all the financial instruments. They must understand what is the best instrument for their company.
Hmm.
So it is irrespective whether the company wants to get listed or not get listed.
Hmm.
Financially, they must be knowing how to manage the finances of their company. That is
Hmm.
very important, and
Hmm.
that's how the company can run smoothly and keep on growing. Now, coming to the listing part, if even if the promoters are not so expert in the on the financial parts as far as creating the documents or paperwork and all those things. But as long as their regulatory and the financial guidelines and the financial results are being maintained by the company, that company can get listed onto the stock exchange. So that's not a problem. Many of the times promoters think that listing is a very complicated thing. I don't think so. I have seen many of the companies having turnover of 10 crores, 12 crores, even 7, 8 crores, approaching to the stock exchange and merchant banker ensuring that their all documents and paperwork should be done at right point of time and they can get listed. So, I don't think that,
Hmm.
let us try to, complicate the issue or make
Hmm.
it a,
Hmm.
a complex structure.
Exactly.
The way the SME platform has evolved, it is a
Hmm.
very simplified structure,
Hmm.
and we have tried to create a, ecosystem under which, the merchant banker does the proper hand holding and ensure that by complying all the regulatory norms and other things, they should get listed onto the SME platform of the stock exchange.
Exactly, exactly. So, as far as BSc SME is concerned, how many SMEs have been so far listed on this platform since I think 2011 it all started?
Since 2012, we
2012.
have got 339 companies listed on the
300.
SME platform. They
Exactly.
have already reached 3,500 crores, and the market capitalization is above 28,000 crores. Not only
Big.
that, let me
Hmm.
tell you one more thing. On this SME platform, the investors have created wealth, and the
Hmm.
valuation of the companies have also grown, manyfold.
Hmm.
We have launched one SME IPO index in December 2012 with 100 as base. Today it
Hmm.
has grown to 3,900. In fact,
Hmm.
it has crossed 3,900. So you can understand from this that how many of the companies have grown manifold, not in the terms of only top line, but also in terms of bottom line.
Hmm.
Besides that, let me tell you that these companies, because they have grown, they have created huge employment. There is one company from Jaipur. Let me
Hmm.
tell you, when they come for listing, when they got listed, they have got 200 employees working in their company. Today,
Hmm.
they have employed almost 3,500 people in their company. So you can understand,
Exactly.
how
Job
these
creation.
companies
Hmm.
have helped in generating the employment.
Hmm.
And I can proudly say that, we as SME platform try to ensure that, we can contribute in the growth of the country, in the GDP growth of the country. So
Exactly.
this is something that can happen. Not only that, you can understand almost 28,000 crore of wealth has been created.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
if these companies not have listed, their valuation could not have been found out. So I think
Ex-
that listing on the SME platform and the
Hmm.
efforts that we have given has yielded good results,
Hmm.
not to the satisfaction of we people.
Hmm.
Though we want that almost 5,000 small and medium enterprises should
Hmm.
get listed,
Hmm.
and we are working hard for that.
Hmm.
Let me tell you
Definitely.
let me tell you, over 7, 8 years of our SME platform, we have conducted almost 2,300 seminars, physical
Hmm.
seminars I'm talking
Hmm.
about,
Hmm.
and almost 250 webinars.
Hmm.
And let me tell you, we have met almost 36,000 promoters, and
Hmm.
almost 10, 12,000 charter accountants and 2,500 company secretary.
Hmm.
For and only for the purpose that how those companies can be brought on the SME platform. Still, as
Hmm.
I have earlier said, that financial awareness is less,
Yes.
financial literacy is less, and there are some myths and fears
Hmm.
about listing.
Hmm.
That is stopping these promoters of the small medium enterprises for coming for listing onto the SME platform of the stock exchange.
Exactly. Exactly. And how is your response? Because startup thing is just started at I think it's less than a year old. So how is that, how is your experience with startups and what is the process for startups? Is it like slightly different, or startups can also, because I think the 3-year parameter would not work on the startup thing. And again, their piece of documentation should also be, I think, less as compared to SMEs. So what is it, and how startups can get into the stock exchange?
The startups are very important, ingredients of the whole ecosystem. In fact, they are very important for the growth of the country. And let me tell you, we require a lot of job providers. And over the years, in last 7, 8 years, we have seen many of the startups becoming unicorns. Today in India, we have almost 40,000 startups which are registered, and 58 unicorns are there, okay, who have created value. But what we have observed that that financial market, of course, it has penetrated a lot. In last 10 years, we have seen the emergence of angel investors, venture funds, private equities, and they have invested a lot in these startups, which have grown many-fold and doing very well. But still, I think a lot of startups are there. I think maybe in the range of 25,000 to 27,000 startups, which require funds. And still, these investors have no risk to those startups, or maybe startups are unable to raise funds, or they are unable to present themselves to these investors. So we have started this startup platform so that these startups can come to our platform and try to raise funds.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe initially a small amount of funds can accelerate their growth.
Hmm.
So this is the reason why we have started this startup platform.
Hmm.
We have come out with the guidelines though in the month of December 2018, but for
Hmm.
all practical purpose,
Hmm.
it has started in the middle of the
Hmm.
year 2019, and
Hmm.
after that we have seen the pandemic coming, and
Hmm.
it has disrupted the whole ecosystem.
Hmm. Hmm.
However, in last 1.5 years, we have seen 10 startups getting listed on the startup platform. They have raised almost 35 crores and created a market capitalization of almost 100 crores.
Hmm.
Now, as you were discussing that the eligibility criteria that we have stipulated on the SME platform may not work on the startup platform.
Hmm.
Yes, of
Hmm.
course,
Hmm.
we are knowing this. So we have got lesser, stringent startup eligibility criteria on the startup platform. We have kept it more relaxed
Hmm.
on this platform.
Hmm.
Initially, we have opened it for IT and IT related company
Hmm.
startups,
Hmm.
whether they are into artificial intelligence or 3D printing or nanotechnology. So if any company is into these sectors, IT, ITES, or 3D printing, artificial intelligence, uh, so they can get listed on this startup platform,
Hmm.
subject to their being in existence for a minimum period of 2 years,
Hmm.
and their net worth should be positive.
Hmm.
So four criteria: one, they should be either into IT and IT related sector, number one. Number two, they need to be in existence for a minimum period of 2 years. Number
Hmm.
three, should be registered as a startup with DIPPT. In case they are not registered as a startup, then their paid up capital need to be 1 crore. And
Hmm.
fourth is that their net worth should be positive. So these are the
Okay.
four eligibility criteria that we have kept on the
Hmm.
startup platform. And also the post-listing compliances, we have kept it at par with the SME platform, whereby we have done away with quarterly compliance. And we are saying that here also you do half-yearly compliance.
Hmm.
And, there is no need to publish it into the newspaper.
Hmm.
So compliance, we have kept it as simple as SME platform, whereby eligibility criteria we have reduced further.
Okay. So thank you so much. I hope the viewers and readers have got very insightful from this conversation. And this is actually, I must tell you, Ajay ji, that our inaugural session, which we had, conducted, in which we had conversed on this issue also at a very, limited time frame. We have got a lot of feedback from the MSME sector, and a lot of people have shown interest to know more from this. And that's why, I hope that those people who have shown interest will definitely get a great insightful for their business prospect. Definitely raising finance is very critical, very important, but what has changed in today's time is the kind of opportunities that we have, and the stock exchange opportunity is there, which is less penetrated as of now. Yes, 330 SMEs are listed in BSE SME platform, uh, and only 10 startups are there in the startups listing. But the good part is, stock markets are approachable. Stock markets are inviting not just SMEs, MSMEs, but also startups. So I wish more startups, more SMEs should follow this route. They should, so raising finance should not be considered as a challenge, should considered as a part of starting up, as part of, expanding the business. So thank you so much, Ajay ji,
Faiz,
for giving time.
Faiz, let me
Ji.
ensure you from
Ji.
your platform. Let me tell the small and medium enterprises that as far as we are concerned, we are going to give them red carpet welcome, and we support in all possible manner
Mm.
for their growth, because they are very much integral part of the growth process, and
Hmm.
they are the backbone of our economy. So from BSC side, I can ensure that we will do our best to support their growth.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much for giving time. I'll just, so with this, I'll be logging off from the live. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Gee, so I'll just stop the recording thing also. Yes, so there's 30.